the buttons I pressed. Yes! Okay, I see me in one place. That's very good, I think. So if you can hear me, if you can see me, please write down in the box below. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sense of what's happening right now. Yeah, so if you can hear me right now, write down in the box below hi, or I can hear you, or you are here, or something like that. So I hope you can hear me. I don't want to talk too long in the beginning because we have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I just want to get into it as soon as possible. We're going to be talking about the TOEFL. What are we talking about today? The TOEFL listening section. We're talking about academic passages, and we're talking about how difficult it is to listen to a lecture. So it's really hard to listen to a lecture. And oh good, one person said I'm here. Sorry, I'm interrupting myself, but I saw one person and I got excited. Please let me know if you can hear me, just type below, but I'm gonna get started with the lesson just so I can know that you're here and that I'm not talking to myself. So, listening passage, the academic passages. Now, a lot of students have trouble with the academic passages because there is a lot of information. They usually last about 4 minutes. And so you have to take notes and understand a lot of things in a very short amount of time. And students get stressed out when they are listening and they hear a word that they don't understand, or they get lost in the passage. And so you get kind of nervous, and now you're thinking about, oh man, I didn't understand everything. What am I going to do? And you're not listening to the lecture. So I want to make your job as easy as possible. I want to make it as simple as possible. And so how do we do that? So I want you to think about the test for a second. Think about the listening passage. And the listening passage after the lecture, there are 6 questions. And 3 of those questions have not a lot to do with listening, okay, with your listening to the material. So there's 6 questions after the listening. One question is going to be a main idea question. And that main idea question is, what's this about, pretty much. So you can understand, only like 50% of the passage and probably take a pretty good guess about the main idea. So your notes and understanding everything is not that important for the main idea question. And then you have a couple different types of questions that I call repeat questions. You have 1 or 2 repeat questions where they repeat a part of the passage and they ask you, what do you think the professor meant when he said this? And they repeat it. So you don't have to listen. You could not listen to the whole lecture and you could still get that answer correct. So really, when you're listening to a lecture, you only need to answer 3 or 4 questions. So you don't have to worry about writing down everything. Instead, what you want to do is that you want to focus on the most important thing. You want to ask this question before any lecture is, what does the professor want me to learn by the end of this? What does he want me or she want me to understand? What's the main idea? Okay, so that's pretty much the main idea. The main idea is, what is the most important point the professor is trying to make? Okay, that's what you listen for. You listen for the most important point. And when you listen for the most important point, you can answer other questions because you know the main idea. So this is kind of like a long lesson that usually takes me like 2 classes to talk about, but I'm going to try to talk about it here in a pretty short amount of time. So I recommend that you watch this again. If it's like a lot of information at one time, I totally understand. It's going to be a lot of stuff, but what I want you to do is, I'm going to want you to think like a professor. Okay, so I want you to think like a professor. And when you think like a professor, professors have a certain way of speaking, of showing the main idea, okay? You have to imagine, and I've talked about this before, but you have to imagine that you are explaining something simple or something that you know a lot about to somebody who knows nothing about it, okay? So what I usually say is you have to imagine that you're explaining Christmas to an alien. So an alien has no idea what Christmas is, and you have to explain it to an alien in some way that's understandable. Okay? You have to explain Christmas to an alien. Aliens don't know about Christmas. How are you going to explain it to them? So there are 6 ways that a professor will organize their lecture. There are 6 ways that the professor will organize their lecture. And I'm going to give you these 6 right now. So, hopefully you can see this. It is causes and effects. And I'm going to give you an example of 3 of these, so you don't have to worry so much. But I want you to write these down somewhere. Christmas, the cause is Christmas. What's the effect? Oh, people put trees in their house and they have gifts and so on. Historical narrative, the history of Christmas. Well, so people thought that Christmas started with the Romans in ancient Rome, and then it changed to Christians in Europe and so on and so forth. Problem and solution. More and more people are not celebrating Christmas. Maybe that's a problem for some people. And some solutions to that problem. Sequence of steps, how you celebrate Christmas. Well, first you you get a tree, and then second you buy gifts, and then so these steps of how to celebrate Christmas. 5, compare and contrast. Maybe you compare Christmas to Thanksgiving, or you compare Christmas to New Year's, whatever it is. So that's another way that you try to explain Christmas to an alien, somebody who has no idea what it's about, right? This is what the professor is doing in a lecture. He's explaining something to you, or she is explaining something to you that you don't know anything about. So they have to organize it in some way like this, right? 6, category with specific examples. Oh, well, so this is how Christmas is celebrated in America, and here are some examples. There's a tree in the house, there's presents under the tree, we leave cookies and milk for Santa, whatever. So these are the 6 main ways that a lecture is organized. Okay, so I want you to just focus on the organization. That's it. Remember, 3 questions are not, it doesn't matter if you really understood everything in the lecture, okay? There's only 3 questions that really are based on your memory, okay? So when you're taking notes, should you take notes or not? Notes are a good idea, but if you can't, okay, that's a longer lesson I could talk about another time. But basically, you really want to know what the main idea is. And the main idea is going to be something connected to one of these 6 categories. The effects of Christmas on America. It might be the main idea for this. Historical narrative. The history of Christmas in Europe might be the main idea. And once you know that main idea, then you can not answer the main idea question. You can also eliminate choices from details from other types of questions. All right. So I see some people commenting. There is a delay on Facebook. I just want to say, hopefully you're listening to me. Write your comments below. I will respond to everybody's comments eventually, either sooner or later. If you have a question, I will message you. So don't worry, put it in there and I will get back to you, I promise. Okay, both YouTube and Facebook. So what I wanted to do is since these are the 6 ways that a professor in a lecture organizes it, right? So you're thinking like a professor right now. How does the professor organize a lecture? He does one of these 6 things. She does one of these 6 things, right? Okay. Now, I want to give you an example of how the lecture would start, okay? So I'm going to read the beginning of a lecture, and I want you to tell me what you think the main idea is, okay? And which one of these 6 categories it falls under. All right, here we go. Christmas is probably the most famous holiday in America. You would be hard-pressed to find a single store or restaurant open on December 25th. Most people are busy spending time with their families, eating a big ham dinner, and exchanging gifts. Further still, you will find all of these gifts nestled under a Christmas tree. While most of us automatically think of a decorated pine tree as a traditional practice synonymous with Christmas, It actually didn't come into fashion until the early 20th century. Now, if you want to pause the video, if it's not live, if you want to pause it and take a guess, go ahead. But basically what this is this going to be a history of Christmas trees and why people put Christmas trees there. And then if you keep listening, here's the subtopics. The subtopics, I know this is a lot of information at one time, but basically after you find the main idea, the second most important thing you want to find is what I call them? Subtopics. They are the, how can I explain this? They are the topics that explain the main idea. Okay, they're the topics that help expand on the main idea. So, for example, Christmas trees as a tradition, the history of it. Here's the first subtopic. In order to see how strange this Christmas tradition really is, we have to go back to 16th century Germany. So look, I'm going to go back to 16th century Germany and start talking about that first. And then here's another subtopic. Even though some early German settlers continued the practice, it wasn't until the late 19th century when Queen Victoria first triggered the growth and popularity of keeping a tree in a house. So you see how Germany in the 16th century, Queen Victoria in the 19th century, you see how that's a story? You see how that's expanding on the topic? Christmas trees as a tradition in America or in the West? So that's one way to organize. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like this is really difficult. Let me know if this is like crazy difficult for you or not. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. I'm just, again, Christmas to an alien. So how do I start? I don't just start talking about Christmas. I don't just start talking about the tradition of trees. I give some background about Christmas first. Here's a different example. Remember, there are 6 different ways that a professor organizes a talk. These are the most common. This one was historical narrative. Christmas trees as a tradition. Okay? Now let's look at some others. Causes and effects, problem solution, sequence of steps, compare and contrast, category with examples. Let's see what the next one is. Here we go. Continuing our discussion on American holidays and their significance, we are going to take a deeper look at Christmas. Now, I assume most of you are familiar with Santa Claus and Christmas trees, but these more secular practices distill what originally made Christmas significant. It's meant to symbolize and celebrate the anniversary of Jesus' birth. Now, whether you're a Christian or not, it remains true that Christmas Day is meant to commemorate the birth of Jesus on December 25th. However, there has been heated debates over the years by historians, researchers, and religious scholars whether Christmas began as a Christian holiday or as something else. So you see how it gives some background information? It's saying like you probably think of Santa Claus and Christmas trees. Again, I think you don't know anything about Christmas, right? So I have to give this background information first before I make it more specific, talking about debate of where Christmas came from. Here are the subtopics. Subtopic 1. Some historians suggest that Christmas originated from the Saturnalia festival, which was celebrated on approximately the same date in ancient Rome. First subtopic, they're going to talk about ancient Rome and the Saturnalia festival. Second subtopic. While there are scholars who cite the Saturnalia as the main inspiration for the formation of Christmas, there are others who put forth that the Christmas holiday actually comes from ancient Norse mythology. You don't have to know what that means, but that's another way, another opinion that some people have. So what are they doing? Comparing and contrasting. Some people think this about the history of Christmas. Some people think this about the history of Christmas. They are comparing and contrasting these two. Now again, why is this important? You don't think about the little details. You don't think about understanding all the vocabulary. You focus on these two very simple things. Finding the main idea and finding the 2 most important subtopics. That's it. That's all you need. And you will do well. If you can understand those 2 things, you will be able to answer most of those questions well. Let me give you one more example, just in case. So somebody wrote to me, hey bro, thank you so much, bro. Thanks, boy, I appreciate that. I remember, yeah, you commented on my videos. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so let me give you one more. There's a little bit of a delay, so I can't really see people's comments, but again, keep watching, I hope, and if you comment, I will respond eventually. I'll see them later, okay? All right, here's one more example. Now I want you to think. So far, I've done... Ah! I just spilled something. So far... Okay, so that didn't go as planned. It's okay. It's not my computer. That's the most important thing. As long as it's not my computer. Okay. So we've done historical narrative. We've done what's the other one we did? We did compare and contrast, that one. So we're gonna do one more example of how we organize a lecture. Okay, here we go. Let me read it to you. Okay, so here we go. Christmas. Now again, this is how a professor usually begins the talk. So Christmas. Most people in the West look forward to this time of year when they can take an extended break from work or school and spend... Sorry, let me... Okay, I didn't expect for that to happen. My whole leg is wet right now. Christmas. Most people in the West look forward to this time of year. All right, I gotta calm down. Okay. Christmas. Most people in the West look forward to this time of year when they can take an extended break from work or school and spend quality time with loved ones. In the States, the day begins with the opening of gifts, followed by a big ham dinner and perhaps a trip to church. For many children in America, their gifts are not the result of their parents' generosity, but on the kindness of an elusive Santa Claus. While most envision a jolly old man with a white beard and red suit, Santa Claus takes on different forms around the world. So Santa takes on different forms around the world. First subtopic. The first country we'll take a deeper look at is the UK, who originally believed that a character named Father Christmas brought gifts to children on December 25th. Another version, subtopic 2, another version of the Santa Claus figure is the Dutch Sinterklaas. So the topic is I gave some background information about Christmas. I gave some background about, what people usually do. They give gifts to loved ones. They do all this stuff. And then most people envision a jolly old man with a white beard and red suit, right? But he takes on different forms around the world. One example is Father Christmas in the UK. Another example is Santa Claus, is the Dutch Sinterklaas. So I gave the example of England, Father Christmas, and then Dutch Sinterklaas. All right. So is the different topics. That one was a category, Santa Claus, with specific examples. Okay, so that's that. I didn't do all 6 because I just wanted to give you a kind of introduction of what it should look like. If you have any questions, post them below. I see some people are commenting. It is getting like a little slow coming in, but I can answer some questions that I see here. Somebody, would you mind making a video of strategies regarding TOEFL reading? Sure. I've made a whole course about it. If you go to the website, TOEFLspeakingteacher.com, we have a complete TOEFL course, which I talk about this listening in a lot more depth. I talk about the reading. I teach you how to think for the TOEFL. So how to think like an American. Americans think differently. So if you notice, I'm kind of teaching you how to think like a professor, how to organize the talk like a professor. Nobody teaches the test like that because I found that, right now I live in Japan. My wife's Japanese. I've been teaching students from all over the world. People around the world think differently. It's very natural. But on the TOEFL, it's an American test, and it assumes people know how to think like an American. So the TOEFL Mastery course is at TOEFLspeakingteacher.com, and I teach you, of course, all about the TOEFL, everything you need to know, but then also how to think so you can know how to answer the questions well. Somebody said, would you mind making a video? Yeah, so I just answered that. Teacher, can you say, for the reading questions, I'm finding them very difficult. So even if you're, if you don't want to take the course, there's videos on YouTube about how to improve your reading by 3 points, 5 mistakes that students usually make that I've made as well. a lot of stuff. If you're not in my Facebook group, there's a Facebook group, free TOEFL course for all, where I go over a lot of stuff. It's not complete. The complete course is on the site, but there's a lot of useful things. I mean, I give a ton of stuff away for free. Hello from Honduras. Hello, Sam. Thank you for watching. I don't know if you're still here. I don't know how old this is now. Hello from Brazil. Hey, Suna. This is so cool. Like, this is amazing that I get to, like, Nepal, Brazil, Honduras. It's awesome. I'm in Japan. You know, I love that I can connect with you guys. But I know you're probably just wanting to ask me. Somebody's asked me questions in Brazilian, or maybe they're just talking to each other and ignoring me. Yeah, somebody said, "Hey, Virginia," and they're talking in okay, in Portuguese. So, well, I hope you found it helpful. Sorry, I can't read the comments. I see my YouTube comments, but I don't see the Facebook comments. The Facebook comments are really slow usually. So if you want to watch, I do a live video once every 2 weeks about. So if you want, you probably get a better hold of me on YouTube. But yeah, comment below. I will respond to as many as I can, and I have to clean myself up, of course. But. But again, I'll talk to you guys later. Don't forget the 6 ways to organize a passage, and I will talk to you later, guys. Take care. Bye-bye. And how do I shut this off? Hold on. Okay, here it is. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.